Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of Prospect Corner here at the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, joined in by my one co-host, Peter Baracchini, replacing Dayton on this one. Dayton's unavailable for this episode, but Peter's here. How's it going?
It's going good. Yeah. Been a while since I've been here. A lot of personal matters to attend to. I'm just going to keep it short. I'm just glad to be back, get my mind off things because it's been a rough couple of weeks, but glad to be talking about prospects right now. So that's a big positive with all the, playoffs happening, or not necessarily championship series, but the postseason is in full effect. Frozen Four is around the corner as well. A lot of big name prospects that were, top collegiate stars are making their way to the NHL right now. So it's fun to see. This is basically a fun time of year for, us prospect writers, fans, analysts, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, really great time there right now.
Yeah, it's all the playoffs are in full swing. NCAA, like you said, the Frozen Four is going to happen next week. We'll preview that in our next episode. We will talk about some NCAA signings, like you said. I mean, this is the time of year where all these teams are getting eliminated in the tournaments, and then all of a sudden you got prospects looking at their future in the NHL, AHL, wherever they're going to go. And it's exciting. And you start seeing these guys kind of seeing how they adjust. I mean, they could play a few games at the NHL level before the end of the season, like it's happened with the Chicago Blackhawks. A couple of their guys have already played NHL games. A few others are starting, have played in the AHL already. I know the Maple Leafs signed a few prospects. They're already playing there. So let's jump into that, and we'll start with the NCAA signings and some big ones that have happened. Washington Capitals just signed Ryan Leonard, big time. I mean, we all know what he's done in the World Juniors, all that stuff. That he's just been a standout, and it's going to be a big part of the Capitals in the future. Sam Renzel, the Chicago Blackhawks signing, Oliver Moore, another two pretty high-end prospects for the Blackhawks have played their first NHL games already. So, Peter, what any of the standouts you kind of want to talk about in the NCAA ELCs that have signed? I mean, you can talk about some of the Maple Leafs that are in there too. What do you want to go with there?
Yeah, I mean, would it be doing justice if we weren't talking about Ryan Leonard and the season that he had, captaining Team USA, being a fixture with, Boston College, how he was 1/3 of that top line with James Hagens, draft eligible in 2025, and Gabe Perreault, who is, also a New York Ranger. He signed his ELC as well. Mm-hmm. So 2 out of the 3 of that line going pro, the other potentially going to go pro, and then we don't know exactly what's going to happen with James Hagens' situation. If he's going to go back again, if he's going to sign, we don't know. That's too early to tell. Mm-hmm. But you just look at, Ryan Leonard's stat line, 30 goals, 49 points, 37 games. Just tore it up as captaining Team USA, as I mentioned before, to a World Junior gold. So it's been a very star-studded or very eventful season for him. And, this is probably like absolute gold or like a big trade deadline acquisition for the Washington Capitals, because they're already first place. They're like neck and neck with the, Winnipeg Jets. Eyeing that President's Trophy, Winnipeg has the edge. But with the storyline that Ovi's chasing down Wayne Gretzky's record, 5 goals away from that, you're getting one of your top prospects that you just drafted basically 2 seasons ago, mm-hmm. where you didn't actually think that it would be possible, or seeing, Washington in kind of like that top 10 pick area. They're quickly out of that, and they're going to gain a lot of, positives, and they're going to reap the rewards with Ryan Leonard in their lineup right now. Yeah, aging core. Obviously, Ovi's getting up there in age, but it doesn't look like it. I know if based on what he's doing. You have a solid backup tent, or a solid goaltending duo right now on the back end. Your defense is very solid. You're getting contributions throughout your lineup where it's very well balanced. You got great chemistry. You got great energy. And Ryan Leonard is going to bring even more energy and that physical play that, maybe Tom Wilson and Pierre-Luc Dubois are going to be big fans of, because he could play with that edge, get in on the forecheck, grind and wear down your opponents as well. It's great to see him take that jump. Obviously, again, there are a lot of quality names that you could focus in on. Like I mentioned, Perreault, Oliver Moore, Sam Renzel. Again, the list goes on. Maple Leafs, they did sign 3 free agents, not a whole lot of substance there, but one of them did make their Toronto Marlies, or 2 of them, I believe, made their Toronto Marlies debut. One of them, I believe Haynes scored his very first goal. Really great, first impression for the Marlies right there. And they also signed, I believe, Ryan Kerwan as well as another name to look at if you're a Maple Leaf fan. But yeah, this is just a great time for, college players getting that opportunity to showcase their talents, get signed, and just take that next step. Like we're seeing with Leonard right now. It'll be interesting to see how he's going to fare in his first game. I think he's going to be fantastic because he's already got that pro build. He's already got that work ethic mindset and all that. And I think Spencer Carberry is going to love having him in the fold.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, with how well he's done at the World Juniors, and we said then he looked like an NHL player at that point. I think he's going to fit in really well. And he is the future star of the Capitals, the next era, if you say, post Ovechkin. And he's going to be a massive part of that, top center type guy. And yeah, it's going to be fun to see him. Jimmy Snuggerud also signed St. Louis Blues. He's going to debut on, today, apparently. It looks like he's going to be debuting in the NHL for the Blues, who are on a 9-game winning streak. So
again, more reaping the benefits right there if you're the Blues.
Pretty good situation to come into, a team with a ton of confidence. And we all know what he's done at the NCAA level. Part of that big line with Logan Cooley, not last season, but the season before that. So, I mean, he's going to be a pretty big guy to watch for the rest of the season, whatever amount of games he does get into. But yeah, and also going to be a big part of the Blues in the future too.
One other thing to look at too, I mean, there's like possibility that Jacob Fowler could probably go pro, but just seeing right now Cam Robinson saying that there's some smoke that he is leaning towards a return to Boston College for a junior season. And if you're the Montreal Canadiens, that I mean, you look at his record right now, it is absolutely astronomical that maybe he can go pro, and that would be great for the Montreal Canadiens, but I don't think they're in a position to try and rush him. If he wants to go back, that's totally fine. You're getting results with Sam Montembeault right now, Jakub Dobeš as well. I mean, you got a steady tandem for now. Fowler is definitely going to be that name for you in the near future. Don't rush him just yet. Let him take his time, season him a little bit if that's the case. But if he does sign, hey, again, you got a big decision to make in next year, basically. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, we were saying, Dayton and I were talking about Fowler and how, they don't really need to rush him at all. I mean, they've got 2 good goalies, like you said, and we all know how development with goaltenders are. I still think they rushed Carey Price into the starting role when he back then. I mean, didn't seem to affect him too much, but I don't think it's a good idea to rush him in. They don't have to. And if he does want to go back for another year in NCAA, that's, I think, good thing for him as well. I mean, he dominates at the level. I don't know if he really needs to get any more development there, but it's always good to continue there. For the Canucks, Tom Willander is reportedly they're going to sign him, but he is in the Frozen Four. So they're not going to say he's not leaving yet. He might win a national championship. So we'll see whether by the time that's over, if they do make it all the way to the final. Canucks only have 2 games after that on the regular season schedule. And if they somehow find their way into the playoffs, it's looking very bleak right now. He could potentially play at some point. He most likely, if they do sign him, he'll be playing the AHL with the Abbotsford Canucks, who look like they're going to be making the playoffs. So yeah, at any point they might be able to see him. There has been talk that he might go back for another year as well. He forewent staying over in Europe to go to the NCAA. So I don't know if he's going to want to leave just after 2 seasons, but we'll see how that all plays out in the next week or so for him. All right, let's move into the WHL playoffs and talk a bit about some of the standouts so far, and there have been quite a few. And biggest one is, maybe it's not a surprise. Gavin McKenna is leading the way points-wise in the Western Hockey League playoffs so far. And like I said, it's probably not a surprise. He's got 9 points already in the first two games. Oasis Weisblatt, who plays with him, has 6 of those, has 6 points, 5 goals. He leads the league in goals too. So 2 of those standouts already. Peter, you have anyone else you kind of want to mention? You can even go deeper on those 2 guys. That's a dynamic duo in Medicine Hat right now.
Yeah, I think we're going to spend too much time talking about Gavin McKenna next year. So I mean, 9 points already in only 2 games. I mean, like I know we don't probably. I mean, let's throw it out there. That's generational level production right there. And the point streak that he was on this season, the absolute tear he had. I mean, you can't deny that. You can't overlook that. It is just absolutely impressive. And obviously Medicine Hat, they're going in it to win it right now. Ryder Ritchie is up there. He was a big name last year in the 2024 draft. Yeah, I mean, they're just basically stacked at this point. So Medicine Hat is definitely a name to watch with Gavin McKenna leading the way. I believe they're up 2-0 in their series. Yeah. But other names, I mean, that are at the top of like the production list that is having a big impact right now. Cole Reshny for Victoria, 5 points in 2 games. Cameron Schmidt, obviously both players are in consideration to be potential first round picks. A little surprised that Cameron Schmidt only has 1 goal, considering the fact that he likes to shoot and he is a absolute sniper with the puck. But seeing that playmaking element as well is definitely a good sign. Can't overlook that. You look at some of the other names too that have already been drafted that want to go a little bit further. Those veteran type presence in Braden Yeager, Tanner Howe, Andrew Crystal as well. Again, early on in the postseason, but you're starting to see a lot of the big name players, or the players that are supposed to be leading the way, definitely are. And even Ben Kindle too, another name that's draft eligible this year that is rising up the boards because of his smarts and his 2-way play and the IQ that he possesses. He already has 3 points in 2 games for the Calgary Hitmen. So, very interesting to see. And again, we talk about Gavin McKenna next year, but Landon DuPont the year after that, again, already 3 assists in 2 games. So you're seeing a lot of the big name players stepping up big time in the big moments. And that's what you really want to see if you're a draft eligible prospect or a scout that's scouting these players for the future, or if you're a scout and you're wanting to see the development of how these players are producing right now. So definitely. Obviously the WHL is very, very competitive. We're definitely going to be in for a very, very strong postseason right now.
For sure. I mean, there's not really any surprises so far in the first few games. I mean, there's a bunch of games going on right now, actually, in the OHL. WHL is a little later in the days because it's my time, so it's great. They're playing tonight as well, so a lot of these series could end up being different, but a lot of the top teams are up 2-0 in their series. There's a couple tied ones now, but the ones that are up to 2, they're expected. Vancouver Giants put up a big fight against Spokane, though. They were down 6-0 and came back to make it 6-5 before Spokane finally finished at 7-5. But Giants really made a big push. Cam Schmidt was a big part of that, had a goal and 2 assists, I believe it was. So, I mean, he looked really good in that game, but Spokane still has the 2-0 lead in the series. And like Dayton and I were talking in the preview for the WHL playoffs, they're the favorites in this series. I mean, Vancouver did show that they can compete with them. So we'll see how game 3 goes. They might actually maybe surprise them and win a game. We didn't predict sweep in that one, so they most likely they'll probably win one. But yeah, no other real surprises. Otherwise, I was surprised though Seattle won their first game. Everett's such a strong team. It's interesting that the Thunderbirds, who was one of the weaker teams making the playoffs, they actually were able to win game 1 3-2. and then just lost 3-2 in overtime in game 2. So this might actually be a closer series than Dayton and I thought at the beginning, thinking that Seattle was just going to get run out of the building. Doesn't look like it so far. So it is going to be interesting to see some of these other teams. Edmonton Oil Kings too tied in their series. Another one that we thought maybe they won game 1 as well. So maybe potentially some surprises as we're going to keep going down the line. But for the most part, the top teams have performed so far. All right, let's move to your neck of the woods, Peter, and the OHL. The OHL playoffs are also going on right now. And again, some big names and big performances coming through. Lots, there's actually quite a few. There are 3 players tied for the points lead right now with 8. Panel Famous, Liam Greentree and Ilya Protas, all with 8 points to start. And also Anthony Romani has 5 goals in his first 2 games, along with Noah Morneau and Panel Famous as well. So lots of big guys. I mean, we've talked about Liam Greentree on the show quite a few times on how he might have dropped a bit in the draft, and he's showcasing himself quite well. Windsor Spitfires so far. Any of these guys you want to talk a bit more about?
Yeah, I mean, Greentree and Protas are picking up where they last left off. I think they both 100-point players for the Windsor Spitfires. Definitely led the way and led the charge for them, and they're doing exactly that right now in the postseason as they are up, I believe, 2-1 on the Sioux Greyhounds, and I believe they are also not sure if they are playing tonight, if the game is happening. Yes, the game is happening, or it did happen already. So they're going to be playing tomorrow, but they're already up 2-1 in their series. Based on that dynamic duo, I think you're expecting Windsor to take that lead and to take the series. Yeah, I mean, both already leading the points, leading their team respectively and tied for the lead in 8 points is absolutely impressive. I want to go to the series of Saginaw and Erie. I think that is one where maybe you're expecting a bit of an upset, considering that Saginaw has the likes of Michael Misa, who set records this season and is vying to push Matthew Schaefer for that top spot. You have Zane Parekh, who, again, back-to-back 100-point seasons as a defender. It's basically unheard of at this point. And you even have Igor Chernish, or sorry, not 100 not back-to-back 100-point seasons, had 96 last year, but was on that cusp of that. So 107 points as a defender this season, absolutely impressive. And you also had the likes of Igor Chernishev, really good money pick for the San Jose Sharks right now, coming over, getting that North American feel. Christian Epperson improving his stock as, an overager, a draft in his draft +1 season. Really great to see that, but they're down 2-0 right now. And the Erie Otters are getting contributions from their overagers in basically Femi, as well as Sam Alfano. Sam Alfano also is definitely one of those overage players that's having a big impact. There's Martin Misiak, there's Malcolm Spence, who has 4 points in 2 games. And they're all doing this without Matthew Schaefer, which is very impressive. And they are up 1-0 right now, I believe, off another Sam Alfano goal. So I'm not necessarily, if Saginaw loses this one, there's going to be a big upset in the works right now, considering that Saginaw definitely does have the upper hand in terms of, their standing and positioning, because Saginaw is it's technically neck and neck. It was a 4-5, but they're the higher seed, right? So yeah, it's definitely interesting to see how this is going to play out. Every other series is kind of expected. Barry's up 2-0, where, like you mentioned, Anthony Romani has 5 goals. Keishon Aitchison, he's just an absolute tank out there. He's quickly raising his stock as, kind of that two-way physical shooting defender. Kingston's up 2-0. Oshawa and Brampton, definitely interesting. Going to see how that plays out because they're tied 1-1. London kind of feels like a sweep over Owen Sound, and Kitchener's up 2-0 over Flint. But yeah, that Saginaw Erie series is definitely interesting on how that's going to play out. And Misa and Parak and Chernishev, I believe they're all being productive right now, but not to the way that they were during the regular season. I think, like, obviously they're being productive. They're the star players. They're showing up. But I think you just need that little bit extra push knowing the situation that you're in right now.
Yeah, those first two games were, Erie had 17 goals. They scored 17 goals over those two games. First game was 8-5 and the second was 9-5. So it's not like Saginaw's not scoring goals. I mean, they're allowing a ton.
Yeah.
And
that's the problem right there.
Yeah. I mean, they'd probably be winning. They're scoring enough. But yeah, and both on the road that Erie has won. So yeah, they're up against it. I don't know if anyone expected, but like you said, it's a 4-5 matchup. It's not like it was a 1-8 or anything like that. These are close teams. But with the talent that Saginaw has, I mean, and like you said, Erie's doing this without Matthew Schaefer on the team, which is their top defenseman, and potentially the first overall pick this season. It is a big thing that they're able to do this without him. And I mean, Saginaw has got the talent to bounce back, but it's going to be tough, especially the next two games are on the road. This is going to be an interesting series to watch play out. And like you said, they're already up in game 3 as well. So they could be really in a hole after today. We'll see how that all plays out. Romani, I want to mention because he's a Canucks prospect. Overager last season, drafted by the Canucks in the 6th round, which, I mean, looking at it now, it's looking like a steal for the Canucks right now. He's got 11 goals in his last 10 games. I mean, he just blew it up the league last season. Finishes over 100 points, and still wasn't drafted much. 111 points, 58 goals, and he had that unfortunate injury at the beginning of the season. Broke his clavicle. Then he had to deal with the rehab and all that. Had 5 points in his first 6 games to start the season. And then he got traded to Barrie, and he has finished the season with 30 points in 29 games, 19 goals there. So looks like he's bounced back. And like you said, what he's doing in the playoffs so far, a hat trick in the last game. And of course, the 5 goals over the first 2 games. So he's really, it doesn't look like that injury affected him too much. And we'll see how the rest of the playoffs go for him. But he's sure off to a great start too. All right, moving to the last league, and that's the QMJHL. And there's a few draft eligible prospects that have actually come to play and really been part of the top names in the first bit here. Ethan Gauthier, Caleb Dehone, and the top 5 in points. So Peter, anyone you want to mention from this, from the QMJHL's playoffs here?
I mean, obviously a lot of attention is going to be on Desnoyers because of the fact that, one of the top players to come from the Q after last season wasn't really a great draft, result for that league itself. But, with the way that, Desnoyers has vaulted himself to being that top, QMJHL player this year, it is impressive. And the fact that he's just been so consistent, he's got that, refined two-way game, but he's very competitive. It's not like one aspect basically stands out above another. He's very well-rounded. Both sides of the puck, all 3 zones. He's very competitive. When he has a puck, he's driving or he's in full gear offensively. And when he doesn't, he's always the first one to help back defensively on the back check. So he really is definitely one of those players to keep an eye on. And even so, like, obviously with him, Justin Carbonneau, and even Bill Zonin, they're going to be the top basically 3 coming out of the queue right now. And again, they're all being competitive right now. I want to focus in on Matteo Nobert. I mean, Blainville Boisbriand, one of those players that are like kind of, later round picks or projected to be in that. But I think he's a player that's really improved his stock as the season went on. He improved on the 26 points he had last year, 67 this season. Just really smart, great IQ. Maybe needs to put on a little bit, add a little bit more strength, but the offensive game, the awareness, and the attention to detail is already there. So he's one name that I'm really interested to see. He can climb the board a little bit more as the season progresses. Yeah. Already has 2 points in one game. Again, QMJHL is still in full swing right now. But another one that is like kind of fallen off completely was Emil Guite at the start of the season. He was supposed to be one of the other top QMJHL players, but just mired in inconsistency. Really hasn't found that scoring touch that. And again, you really shouldn't put too much stock into one tournament where he was fantastic at the Helenka Gretzky Cup. Just really has continued to fall down. And I hope that maybe he already has 2 points in 3 games. Maybe a strong playoff could maybe improve his stock or bump him up just a little bit more. Again, we'll see what happens, but he's one of those wild card players right now where Nobert is basically improving his stock tremendously, and Guite is trying to do just that, but maybe fall a little bit off behind. So we'll see what happens with that. But also Lucas Beckman. I know we focus in a lot of attention to the goaltenders in, Raffensberg and Jack Ivankovic as the top 2 this year. But Lucas Beckman put up some really solid numbers this year, and he already has a 1.50 goals against average as well in the postseason so far, and a .958 save percentage. And in the regular season, .914, .265. 4 shutouts, 31 and 20. So already, really great record, really great numbers to back that up. So he's one of those goaltenders that maybe slowly starting to improve his stock as well as one of those, goalies that if you need to take a flyer on in maybe the second, third, fourth round, he's definitely going to be one of those names that should come up.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, the goalies, there's going to be the top guys, but there's always those interesting goaltenders that get drafted a lot sooner. And then we're like, they're in the second round or whatever. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what other guys go after the top names for goalies. And I misspoke earlier. Ethan Gauthier been drafted 2023 at Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm not sure why I thought for some reason. But he's having a good playoff so far. Lightning prospect there. So a lot of the playoffs are early on, but some big names that have really come to the forefront so far, and some expected. Actually, all of them are probably expected with what they did in the regular season. But we'll see if some of the other big names can maybe come forward, like you said, Michael Misa and those guys who aren't part of the big point producers yet. We'll see how all the rest, and we'll touch base again next week and see where it all is. The one in the queue that is a bit interesting and a bit surprising, Halifax Mooseheads are up 2-0 in their series, and they were the 8th seed. So Drummondville Voyageurs were the number 1 seed, and they're up 2-0 to start. Both tight games, 3-2 games. But that's a bit of a surprise because, usually the top seeds in these usually get the jump on them, and everyone else it's expected. All the top seeds are up 2-0 except for Blainesville Boyard, Armada, and Sherbrooke Phoenix are 1-1 tied in their series. The rest, all the other top seeds are up 2-0 except for the Mooseheads, who have the jump on them. And it's 3-2 in overtime was game 2, and then 3-2 in regulation was game 1. So tight games, and we'll see if the Mooseheads maybe pull off an upset there, which would be a pretty big deal for them. All right, let's finish the show with, we're going to start doing this again as our 2025 draft prospect profile of the week. And we've got over 30, maybe close to 40 prospect profiles already live on the site. I might be underestimating that. Peter, it is around, I think it's around that.
We are at, let me just pull up my document here. Trusty little document. We are at 34 profiles completed at the moment.
All right. So we're well on our way. All of the top prospects in the top 15, 16, I think Lyndon Lakovic is the only missing one.
One more remaining. Yeah, but one more remaining, but we are definitely in a really good spot with all the top 16 or potential lottery picks potentially already completed. So, yeah.
All right. So take a look. We've got most of the big names already up there. But lots more to come. We usually have around 150-ish. So quite a few still to go in our draft guide. So make sure you're checking that out. But we're going to feature prospect profile every week here. So Peter, who do you got from the ones that are out right now that everyone should be taking a look at?
I mean, it really is interesting because like there's so many so many great players out there that are really like starting to take off right now. It is a little bit. I mean, I haven't really done one in some time in terms of like a prospect or a profile of the week. I don't know if did this. Sorry, Matt. Did this just start up again when we were doing the profile of the week, or
was it? I was going to start it back today. So.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, so for my inaugural profile of the week, I didn't know if it was done previously before with my time off or whatever, but I am going to profile Shane Vansaghi. Done by Jordan Orth. Really started to become a really big fan favorite of his in my January rankings, where maybe again don't focus too much in on the point production, where he only had 16 and 37 games, but he's already got that build, he's already got that drive, attention to detail, the power forward game, and how teams love players that can be very mobile and use that size to his advantage, and he does that very well. Obviously, he's got good speed, but the mechanics is maybe a little bit off. But when he does get to that point, he shows his strengths and he works at his advantage with the play in tight, his hands, the defensive awareness, the shot. If he's able to improve on that just a little bit more, he could be very, very well-rounded and very, very tough to contain, even more so when he already has the hands, shot, and offensive awareness. So he's been a big riser for me. I believe I have him in my 30. I have him at 38 in my ranking. So I'm very, very high on him. I'm not sure if he's going to push first round territory just yet, but teams love players with that size and that skill. So it wouldn't be surprising to see him jump up and move into that range. So Shane Vansaghi, he is my prospect profile of the week. And that was done on March 22nd by Jordan.
All right. I checked that one out. I'm going to profile Roger McQueen, who just returned from injury not that long ago. He was out for 4 or 5 months, and we've kept talking about him as being a guy that could still be drafted high in the first round. He's back and had a pretty good end of the season, and also he's already got a point, I believe. Yes, he's got a goal already in the playoffs, so a goal in 2 games. And finished the season with 20 points in 17 games. He only played 17 games this season, which is it's tough for a guy that's, should still be a high-end prospect in this draft. Still ranked, and this profile was done on the 27th of March by Dayton. So all the rankings still have him, any of the more recent release rankings, still in the top 10. Peter, you had him at 8. In your last ones in March. Andrew had him at 7. Logan 5 in December. So, I mean, you've got Bob McKenzie 7-5. They're all around this range. So even though he has been injured for most of the season, just like Caden Lindstrom, scouts are still saying this guy's still a top-end, high-end prospect. He's not falling off. And he is. I mean, the size, we've talked about it, is one of the bigger things for his centerman. He's a right shot as well, which not a ton of centers that are right, shoot right. So, I mean, he's going to end up being a really good high-end two-way type center. And we all love his size. His skating's pretty good for his size as well. Big stride, big skater for a 6'5" guy. So yeah, I think even though he was injured for most of the season, he's going to end up being still a high-end pick and probably going in the top 10. I'd say the lowest, he might drop into the top 15. And if that happens, I think that's a bit of a steal for whatever team picks him in there. And yeah, but Roger McQueen's still a big guy to watch. And check out that profile by Dayton. Lots of good stuff on, what his strengths, weaknesses, all that stuff. in there. So yeah, take a look at McQueen's profile. He's my prospect profile of the week. All right. Well, thanks, Peter, for coming on and talking prospects again. Great to have you back. And
Absolutely.
we'll hopefully have both, have the band back together next week with Dayton returning. That's if Saskatoon is out of the playoffs. I guess they're still in. It'll be still going on with that, because he's covering the Saskatoon Blades in their series. The Hitmen are up 2-0 in the series so far, and that was something we predicted. But hopefully, for his sake, they can get, he can have a few more games that he can cover there, and get some big time there stuff from there. Well, we'll talk to him on what he's gotten for Saskatoon. But until our next episode, make sure to check out all of our stuff at thehockeybears.com. We've got, like I said, the draft guide live with all those prospect profiles. Lots more to come. Lots more features, top 10s, all that fun stuff we have every season and every year. And but yeah, everything going on at the Hockey Bears with all our prospect coverage as the playoffs go on for all the teams, and as the AHL playoffs get going in the next few weeks too. So lots of great prospects in there. We'll talk about that too. But until our next episode, we will see you next time.